Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and I am thrilled to introduce our guest today. They are a seasoned marketing professional with more than 2 decades of experience in the sales, marketing, and consulting area. As the founder and CEO of Innovation Visual, he has led a well-regarded marketing consultancy that has assisted clients across a wide range of sectors, including manufacturing, technology, healthcare, consumer products, finance, and professional services since its inception in 2014. His proficiency in digital marketing has earned him recognition from Google, placing Innovation Visual among the top 30 digital agencies in the UK. Not a simple accomplishment, my friends. With extensive business expertise and comprehensive commercial background, he excels in solving organizational challenges related to visibility, lead and revenue generation, optimization, efficiency, and of course, the big one, ROI. His expertise is particularly valuable for larger growth-focused businesses seeking an edge in the digital space. His problem-solving skills and proficiency in digital marketing makes him an ideal guest for podcasts aimed at CMOs, marketing directors, CROs, and CEOs who are grappling with marketing and sales technologies, and of course, entrepreneurs. So please, everybody, put your hands together for the man of the hour, Mr. Tim Butler. Tim, thank you so much for being here.
Phil, thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's really good. And I'm honored to be on. And I think at some point you might get a guest appearance from my wife leaving the office at some point.
No worries. We always love those surprise appearances from family and friends. So Tim, I think that's all. We love the animals here on the show. So bring the kitty on and let us see how amazing they are. But I want to know, we'll get straight down to it. What made you decide to be an entrepreneur?
So, yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And I reflected on this and I thought, do you know what? I don't think I ever did decide. What happened was I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to do things my way and I saw a better way of doing certain things and I just ended up doing them. And the only way to do that was to run the show. So there was no conscious decision that, hey, I want to build my own business. It was more, I think that these people should be served better like this and I can help them do more. It needs to be done this way. How can I be listened to? Well, if I'm the boss, then they have to listen.
If I'm paying people, they have to listen to me. I love that idea. Did you grow up like where your mom and dad business owners, or were they the 9-to-5ers and you're like, this doesn't work?
They certainly weren't the 9-to-5ers. They were really hardworking parents, but my mother was actually a teacher and then she went into conservation work. And educational conservation work. And my father actually was a police officer, but did way more than his shifts. He got very senior in the UK police, but also specialized in things like child protection, which is a real passion of his. And he went above and beyond, and he's still now, even though he retired from the UK police service, he still works today. He's coming up to his 80th birthday, and he goes around the world helping jurisdictions in particularly developing countries protect children, and that's his passion. So I suppose whilst it wasn't entrepreneurial, it was very hardworking, and it was very much you need to make the most of your talents, and you need to also help those around you, I think would be the mindset of the family, if you like.
I love that. And I love how your parents are quasi-entrepreneurs. They're not full-born entrepreneurs. They still have that safety, but they go after their passions like us entrepreneurs, and they fulfill it and go after it with life, with full regards for that. When did you feel that marketing was your touch? Like, when did it just feel like, yeah, I know marketing. Marketing is my jam.
I suppose it was about actually selling and the revenue, and marketing, if you like, became the jam as I worked back from there. So the first professional role after graduating was actually on the other side. It was industrial buying. I ended up being poached, if you like, by a supplier to become their salesperson for the region, which is quite a bizarre way of going around it. But then I spent some time in sales, but in the background, I was then running other, if you like, what you would call a side hustle now. But in those times, it was just something else that we're doing because we think it's right. And I always ended up on having to get the revenue in, and then marketing became that. And that just built over time. And then I spent time within the agency space, and that started off very much in terms of being a consultancy sell. And I love the consultancy part. So if you like, I like the figuring out the problem. And then when you've dissected a problem down to its roots, you can then start talking about what the solution might be. And I think that's a lot of what digital marketing is about. It's the problem solving in a digital space. And it's about understanding the intersection, if you like, between people and technology in a large extent.
With you having this top 30 design agency inside digital agency, in the UK,
Yeah.
you've obviously seen the evolution of marketing, and especially with also the 2 decades of experience.
Yeah.
What significant changes have you seen, and how have they impacted the strategies that you've implemented?
Well, I mean, so to give you an idea, the digital marketing part of my background started in 1999 when me and a friend actually founded a company which was offloading late availability ski chalets from the Alps. So I'd lived in the Alps the year before, and I'd seen this problem that chalet owners couldn't fill the chalets all the time. And it was like, well, there's this internet thing, and surely we can do that. So my friend, we coded a database. We effectively got it online, and we start selling late availability ski chalets. So at this point, 99 going into 2000, there'll be a lot of people, first of all, going, oh my God, he's really old. I wasn't probably. But when they've swallowed their breakfast back down again or whatever, and got over the fact that I'm that old, you have to understand that at that point, I remember Google Ads, or at the time Google AdWords, being invented, and I still remember thinking 10 cents a click, because it was only priced in dollars at that time. You couldn't get it in GBP, and I was like, 10 cents a click. That's quite an expensive way of getting traffic. And so, yeah, I've seen everything then. So I've seen the invention of the iPhone. I've seen WAP. Nobody knows what a WAP website is, probably. WAP websites come and go. I was doing digital marketing before Instagram was around, before Facebook was around. So everything changes. And I think that's kind of the thing that people need to remember if they go into this space. And I think we used to talk about digital marketing being separate from marketing. And I can remember telling somebody one time in a sales meeting, you do realize that now nearly 50% of marketing spend is digital. But I think marketing is digital. Everything is digital these days. And the thing you have to remember is it's always changing. And in fact, in our main office, I've got what I call the Mac Museum. And the Mac Museum is everything from, your latest M chip Macs, but it goes all the way back through, and it goes actually from before the Mac. There's a 2C in there, which is from 1986. There's a Macintosh Classic in there as well. And it's there to say that was cutting edge in 86. That was cutting edge in 91. It's not, it's junk now. It's junk. It's like, what you've got in your phone is so much more powerful than even what you could get in maybe a G4 PowerBook back in the day. So change is inevitable, and you must embrace it.
I love that. Is a great piece of advice. I love it, because it is true. Even for me, being in the podcasting industry, which is still so young, I've seen so many changes, not just in the technology that we get to use, but also in how the community has grown since Steve Jobs showed us the iPod.
Yeah,
a long ago.
Yeah, I know, and I think that get comfortable and get good at what you're doing today, but always be ready to change, because I think Darwin was the one that said it's not survival of, well, we talk about survival of the fittest, but I think Darwin actually talks about it's actually survival of the most adaptable. And in this day and age, entrepreneurs and marketing people, that is ever more important. It's survival of the most adaptable, not necessarily the fittest today in your chosen area.
I'm interested, because we have seen a huge explosion of AI-based marketing tools, and how that has AI has, or the generative AI has disrupted many industries.
Yep.
I'm curious, as someone who has seen so much over the last 2 decades of change, what do you see as the role of AI going forward in the marketing space?
I mean, the AI and its actual sort of big brother, or proper term, depending on whether you talk to a computer scientist, machine learning, has been disrupting marketing for some time. If you look at something like Google Ads, I can remember, taking a lot of time and effort to set things up manually and talk about things like different bidding strategies for different times of day. And now if you look and you see what machine learning and AI is doing in just that platform alone, Performance Max pointed at the website, off you go, it'll spend lots of your money. Whether that's always good or not is an entirely different conversation. But I think that what people have to understand about AI, and now generative AI, is that it's like the next industrial revolution. It's not like, the metaverse and it's a bit of tinkling over here. It's as big as the advent of the internet itself. And from a societal viewpoint, it is more like what happened in the 16th, 17th, 1800s in the UK with the Industrial Revolution, of the moving from an agricultural economy to a factory-based economy. I think generative AI is as significant on human society as that. And I think that areas such as marketing are ones that will be disruptive really, really significantly in different ways.
I like that. That is true, because I'm seeing the disruptive elements of AI in podcasting as well. There's the Will Sasso podcast that does a complete AI version of their podcast with guests or fake guests with AI voices. And it's interesting seeing someone who has been there, I'm getting a sense that you're open to what AI is coming down the pipeline for marketing.
We Innovation Visual, we are there helping so many companies understand and embrace in a positive fashion AI. That we see it as augmenting the human. We see it as delivering not just efficiency, but performance. but we see it as something that can be used to do good in terms of improve your employees' workload. So they're focusing on the things that they enjoy more. People talk about focusing on creativity more, but it's not simply about that. It's about the things that you enjoy doing. However, we're seeing companies coming to us and they need help because they're implementing badly. There's all of these tools, they're just going and getting them, they're being used incorrectly, they're not bringing their team with them on the journey. So their team's thinking, oh, wow, they've just brought this new AI content tool in. Well, they're going to get rid of me because I do a lot of my stuff's content. So I'm not going to work with it because it's just about them getting rid of me. So it's a really challenging time, but I think I definitely feel that we as a team at Innovation Visual are embracing it in a positive way and helping with our clients. And we're getting a lot of people knocking on our door because they know that we're good at this space, helping them bring it in because it's complex and it's not easy. It's about change management as well as the technology. It's about knowing which technologies to look at, which ones that, you know, aren't so good and that kind of thing. So yeah, got to be able to.
I love that. I love how you are becoming, you're involving again with the industry, becoming the leaders of helping businesses with AI moving in a different way in the digital marketing world. I love that. And it speaks to the core function of this podcast, helping others become a better version of themselves by investing in themselves. And on that vein, as a CEO, how do you invest in yourself, but also invest in your team?
I'll take the team part of the question first, because that's the easier one. And it's less, I have to expose less of myself personally at that. I'm working up to that. So for the team, as I said, change we see as inevitable. We embrace change, we look forward to it and things like that. So if your organization is all about change and helping others change and look into the future, training and development has to be a core secret source, focus, whatever you want to call it, of the organization. So at an absolute minimum, we get all of our team to do at least 8 hours of training a month. We get them to do their own development plans, but we don't just do annual reviews, we do biannual reviews with people. We do a lot of mentoring within the organization, but then we have an internal knowledge base. So we're getting people to work and add to the knowledge base so that they can share the knowledge, even down to simple things like if an employee from IV goes to an external event or sits on a webinar, they will then go to the team and give the team a summary of what they learned. And if it's a significant event, they will write at least one, if not more, pieces of content to share with our audience, you know, put on our Digital Marketing Answered podcast or write a blog or put in the public knowledge thing. So we promote learning as an absolute core function within the team. And that goes all the way from the most junior person who's being mentored, doing lots more than 8 hours a month training, right the way up to me. I have to do it as well. So going back to the first part of the question, what do I do? So I read, because you never hear an entrepreneur or a successful business person going, yeah, I just watch loads of TV. I just binge on Netflix. You know, that's the way to become successful. Nobody says it because it doesn't work. So reading, so real reading, quiet. I was sitting outside yesterday. Actually, I came back from an event with my wife, and we had dinner outside, and we sat outside, and at the end, and we had a nice conversation, and then we pick up a book and we read, and I think that's good. In the mornings for speed, I'm listening to podcasts or I'm listening to book summaries. So I try and build that into the routine. So the knowledge bit there, I've got to constantly develop, and I have to make sure that I'm at the front of what's going on and talking to a lot of people. I should say that actually human interaction on a personal basis, and sometimes it's not always face to face, but you can have personal interactions with people over Zoom and things like that. Did some 7:30 with a really good go-to-market guy this week, talking through some stuff, really interesting. Staying on WhatsApp groups with some leaders of different businesses, so we're sharing ideas. So that's all really important. And then I think you do have to look after yourself physically. And I'm definitely not the best at this, so possibly I shouldn't be giving any advice on it. But I've recently been paying for a nutritionalist. That's actually been really quite positive. That's about, that's quite excessive for me on investing in myself. And I do a fair amount of sport, mostly cycling. And then you have to spend time doing the things that you enjoy as well, that take your mind off it. And I think I like cycling because there's no way that you can think about anything other than what's coming up if you're heading down a alpine descent at 80 kilometers an hour, which I was doing just a couple of weeks ago in Italy. You have to be focused. You're not thinking about those emails that you didn't send, and you've got to clean your mind out. So mindfulness practice, however you choose to do it, I think is important for people who are pushing on. They need to give themselves a break.
I love that. Yeah, the Alpine at 80 kilometers, 80 miles an hour is.
It wasn't 80 miles an hour, it was 80 kilometers.
80 kilometers, either or. It's quite
if you use kilometers. That's, my friend always ridicules me for that. He says, "What, you always talk about how many kilometers you've ridden and kilometers per hour." And I said, "Well, that's how the Tour de France do it." And he's like, "No, it's not. It's because it makes you seem like that you've gone further and you've gone faster." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
It's still fine. It's the universal speed. So we're going with kilometers an hour. Still, it's impressive going down. You do have to be clocked in and, like you said, just focused on the task at hand, and allows you to focus on your tasks at work as well, because you have that, you have learned that focused being extremely crazy, because that's something I would never do. Only time I go 80 is in a complete box. It's called a car. A little safer. Saved my lives a few times. I'm curious, because your job, you work with your wife, correct?
Well, my wife has her own very successful business. I mean, the illustrations behind me, my wife is a medical illustrator, and she's far cleverer than me because she's got a doctorate. But she lends some of her time to the marketing side, and she's a non-exec director as well. So yeah, we work together. But she's definitely the lead on the medical art side of the businesses that we've got, and I'm the lead on the marketing side. But we help each other in the different areas.
I'm curious, how does that business flow? Because you're with each other nearly 24 hours a day. Do you find
in the other room? She's in the other room, so I have to, and she's laughing, so I have to answer this very sensitively.
Well, she can jump in and chime in as well if she would like to add.
Yeah,
difficulty.
Yes, he's starting with difficulty. Yeah, it certainly is interesting, and it has its challenges. And I think not all relationships are set up to do it. I think we're quite fortunate. But we understand, I think we're very lucky. We've been together for best part of 20 years. Yeah. So we understand our strengths and weaknesses. We also give each other the benefit of the doubt a lot of the time when it's, when we overstep each other's mark, kind of thing. But fundamentally, you just have to, you have to do what's right for your own relationship. And I think, as I say, I think we're lucky, but I would say for people actually, they shouldn't try and force their partner into their passion and into their entrepreneurial journey, because it's not for everybody and it can be quite dangerous. And I know of a couple of guys, well, people who have built businesses, built careers, and sacrificed relationships because of the way that they behaved, and they put too much emphasis on the work, and they didn't invest in the relationship. And at the end of the day, what do we do all of this for? You know, it shouldn't be simply for an extra dollar or an extra pound. You should do things for better reasons than that. And having a big pile of money but being lonely, I think, is not the way to be.
Oh, and that's some amazing advice for anybody who is either starting a business with a partner, or who is only focused on the dollar amounts. And we do it more for than just the dollars. It's for the communities, the families, and the connections we make. I'm interested to look a bit into the future here as we're winding down. I'm curious, if I snap my fingers, what do you see the future for not only yourself, Tim Butler, at Innovation Visual, but also the realm of digital marketing in its entirety?
I see, well, I'd like to see us continue to be successful, to grow, I enjoy traveling and meeting new people, so I have an increasingly international footprint. I love working with people from the States and Canada particularly. I've been very lucky to have lived over there. Don't tell the IRS. No, just kidding. I did live over there, and I've lived in Europe as well. So I like having an international feel. So for us as a business, we want to choose to work with clients that are interesting, stimulating for us professionally. It's not simply about selling the most and doing the most work. It's about doing interesting work. And I think where that interesting work will fall is very much in this more and more helping our clients embrace and benefit positively from the technology. We've always been technology adopters. We've always tried to be at the forefront and present to our clients, this is a better way of doing it because of this, and this, and not just chasing shiny things. I would say, I think we've been very mindful to actually understand the true ROI of where technology can work. So with that in mind, obviously we have a strategy that looks forward and then plans back from that. So we must be looking at where digital marketing is and saying it's going to be more technically enabled. So lots more technical enablement. It will be about great people guiding and using and working with that technology to deliver the results. Still, it's about humans. It's about humans buying from humans. It's about humans understanding humans. And we have to remember that the AI, for all of the great stuff that it does, it's not grown up in the world. It's not gone from a little baby and learned and gone to school and understands that water is wet and all of these fundamental things that we take for granted. So humans will guide it. But I think it can be an exciting future. But I think the wider societal challenges will be the dark clouds on the horizon, perhaps.
Leaving us with some very interesting viewpoints, and I love it. We're going to go backwards now because we are coming to the end, which I dislike greatly because, Tim, I'm having a great time chatting with you about your journey and your thoughts on the future of digital marketing. But we're going to go back to your 10-year-old self. Tim, and I'm curious to know, what's one piece of advice you would love to hand back to your 10-year-old self?
Well, if they're allowed to be the 12-year-old self,
we'll go with 12. We can go with 12.
So I'd started working probably around 12 or 13. I'd started working in the UK. We had paper rounds, did in the US. Well, we used to have them everywhere, didn't we? But people don't read paper so much. Oh, my apologies. Thought that was off. So I started working But also I started my own first business because at that age, I actually started washing the neighbors' cars, and that's how I was earning way more than my pocket money. I would go around with a bucket and a sponge and a chamois, and I would go and do that. And so, first of all, I would say to that 12-year-old self, knock the paper round on the head, look at the maths, you get way more for washing cars, do more of that. And also, if only I'd have been able to explain like systemization and, you know, doing it on a regular thing, and the fact that actually if you do it the same time every Saturday, you'll always get the same customers, and therefore you can really build your revenue streams. I had no idea about that. No mentoring or guidance from any kind of entrepreneur for many, many years after that point. But I would also say read more books to develop yourself, because that was something that I got to relatively late in my growth and development, and find enjoyment in reading those things that help you develop as a person. But I'd be quite comfortable telling that 12-year-old self not to rush to start a business, not to rush to go into the career and things like that, because I think that we're a long time old, and your teenage years, your 20s and your 30s are some of the most exciting times in terms of your physical ability, and also the fact that you don't have so many ties. And as going back, living in France, living in America, those kind of experiences are really fundamental to who I am now, many years on from that. And it concerns me sometimes when I see younger people feeling the need, because they've seen it on Instagram and things like that, that they've got to start a side hustle, and they've got to hit that 30 under 30 list kind of thing, and it's all about I've got to get a really nice flash car. Yeah, get one when you're older. Go enjoy yourself. Don't be in too much of a rush because if you're going to be successful, it's going to take a lot of investment mentally, physically, and the thing that you can't buy, time. So be sure that you want to invest that. So that would be, so invest in yourself, but don't rush to sacrifice life, because it will come. If you're good and you want to do it, it will come.
I love it. That's some great advice. Take time, enjoy yourself. Tim, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to let the audience know how they can connect with you, how they can hear more about you, and learn more about Innovation Visual. So the floor, sir, is yours.
Okay. Well, I hope you've found my episode and advice useful. If you do want to connect, please do come to the innovationvisual.com website, connect with me there. You can find me on LinkedIn, Tim Butler 101. You'll find me on there. Please do connect with me on there. Or you can simply drop an email to tim@innovationvisual.com, and I will do my best to answer any questions you have. But please do get in touch. It would be lovely to hear from you.
Tim, I can't thank you enough for being an amazing guest here on the show today. I had a pleasure chatting with you. You gave us some great pieces of wisdom for us here in the marketing world, as well as on your journey. I'm looking forward to re-watching and listening to this episode.
Phil, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm over the moon that you even invited me on, so I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
Excellent. To my audience, make sure you check out the show notes down below. That's where you can connect with Tim. I'll make sure you have his LinkedIn, his website, so you can start learning today. And of course, thank you so much to both Tim, his wife, for joining in a bit of the interview, as well as you guys listening. I thank you so much. And remember to always invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.